Okay, today we're going to be talking about blacksmithing and how you can make gold with this profession. Before we dig into this though, I do want to mention first that I think it's really important for you to have a miner to be able to optimize this particular profession. That's because if you're forced to go buy the bars off the auction house, you're going to be paying a pretty good premium for those bars. But if you can buy the ore cheap off the auction house and smelt it into bars with your own miner, you're going to be generating your materials at a cheaper price, meaning you're going to be getting a lot more profit out of the stuff that you're making with your blacksmith. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so we'll talk about how we can make gold with blacksmithing. I'm going to be covering it in 3 different sections. So the first section is going to be current expansion ways that you can make gold with this profession. Then we'll get into the established markets for blacksmithing. And then the third and final category is basically everything else that you can make with the profession that I haven't already talked about. So let's talk about current expansion items that we can make with blacksmithing. So the biggest item, of course, for current expansion right now is the weapons and the upgrade tokens for the weapons. Sometimes the armor and the upgrade tokens for the armor, sometimes they're profitable, but it's generally the weapons and the weapon upgrades that are the hot sellers that move really quickly. So we're going to cover the weapons first because that's the most obvious items. So for the weapons, we've got lots of different stages. You start with the base stage and then you can upgrade the weapons to higher and higher item levels, which of course means that they're getting more and more expensive. So a lot of people will sell the 6 out of 6 weapons. They're quite expensive to make, but they also come with really nice profits. So if you have enough gold that you can get into these kinds of markets, it's really good. But not everyone's going to be in a position to be able to craft these items because they're quite expensive to make. So remember to make any of these items if you are in a position to do so. Generally, they are quite profitable. So these would be the weapons over here on the right hand side. All the stages are in here in the group. So these would be all the stage 2 weapons, all the stage 3 weapons, and so on. The upgrade tokens, these guys right here are usually quite profitable, especially the ones that bring you to a really high item level. The savage ones are usually pretty good for profits. Mighty is usually pretty decent. Sometimes the steel forge might not be profitable, could be profitable. It's all of this stuff is kind of server dependent. So if you have the add-on TSM, which you really should if you want to be making gold with professions, it will find out what is profitable to make in your professions and basically tell you to make it if you set it up properly. So you can just focus on making things whenever they're profitable, and then when things aren't profitable on your server, you don't make them. So just keep in mind that these upgrade tokens for the weapons, you can sell them raw in this form that you see them over here. The weapons, you can sell the weapons over here in stage 1, or you can put these upgrade tokens on top of these weapons to bring them up to higher and higher item levels till they get up to full 6 out of 6 stages. So that's a really juicy market for blacksmithing, and you can mass produce all that stuff. You can bypass your daily cooldown, which I'm not going to be explaining in this video. So similar to that particular setup that we just talked about, we've got the same sort of thing for blacksmithing armor. So there's epic armor that you can craft with blacksmithing. Again, you can mass produce all this stuff and you can do the same sort of staging. You've got your upgrade tokens here that you can put on top of these armor items to bring up the item level of the armor to sell for even more profit. Again, quite expensive, same story as last. Sometimes these are profitable, sometimes they're not. You will know if you have an add-on like TSM. It will absolutely tell you what's profitable and what's not, and you can set it up to only craft what is profitable. Again, like I said, the weapons are usually much better in terms of profit than the armor, but keep an eye on your auction house because I can't begin to tell you guys exactly what's happening on everyone's server at every moment in time because it's always changing. These blue items here used to be really good at the beginning of the expansion. You could sell them for nice profits, but right now they're not so hot anymore. These reroll secondary items, so you can reroll the stats on this stuff that you're making up here. If you're getting stats you don't want, you want to sell a different kind of stats, you can just pop these on them to change the stats, the secondary stats, over to something better to help them sell better. Or you don't have to, it's totally up to you. Or you can sell them in this form as well. These guys are quite cheap to make, so this is not something that you want to make 1 or 2 at a time. Make like 5, 10, 20, possibly even 40 of these at a time, just to have them in your bags. Every time you go to the auction house and do a post scan, you put 1 or 2 up, you put another 1 or 2 up, you put another 1 or 2 up. So you don't have to be crafting them all the time because you're going to be selling a lot of these guys. And you've got this pet here. It does say it's soulbound, binds when picked up, but that's just the form that you craft. You learn it. Once you make it, you pull it out of your pet cage, and then you can sell it on the auction house. These here were profitable earlier in the expansion. Right now they're not quite profitable to make. I haven't been making them at all lately because they're just not profitable. But do keep in mind, for Legion, it might be a good idea to grab a few of these off the auction house when people are posting them just way below crafting cost, and just put them aside and resell them in Legion, because people aren't going to be having the mats to make this kind of stuff when Legion comes out, and it's going to dry up. And the price of these pets, people are always going to want battle pets. So this is something you could stock up on for Legion, but I wouldn't necessarily craft them to stock up on them. I think it's better for most of you guys just to go to the auction house and buy them when people are posting them really cheap. Okay, so that's current expansion blacksmithing stuff. Okay, so let's talk about some of the established markets in blacksmithing for making gold. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the no longer available crafts. Now, the recipes for these items have been removed from the game, but anybody who already has the ability to craft them still obviously can craft them. So if you happen to have any of those recipes over here in that right hand column, you can make them, sell them on the auction house. You're going to have very little competition, if any, meaning that you're going to be able to get away with getting really nice profits for some of these items. Now, I'm not saying all of these items are going to be profitable. I'm not saying everyone's going to want all of these items, but some of them are really good. So again, having an add-on like TSM will look at this particular group, identify which ones are profitable, and tell you to craft them. If you don't have TSM, you're just going to have to go have a look at your auction house and look up these items and, you know, figure it out one by one. So the other thing that we're going to talk about is the PvP gear from last expansion. It's been selling this expansion really crazy for me. Granted, I do play on all PvP servers, so I'm pretty sure that that contributes a lot to why I sell so much of this stuff. But I don't know how well these guys sell on a PvE server, so you guys are going to have to determine that for yourself. If you find that you can sell them and move them, these guys are really cheap to make. I can usually get a couple hundred gold, sometimes even upwards of 1,000 gold profit on each of these items, and they cost less than 50 gold to make most of them. So now the reborn weapons, this is a really key group in established markets. I would probably say it's one of the most important groups that's here, because you can make really outrageous profits on this stuff. I sell this stuff like crazy and I get really nice profits. The only thing that's annoying with this group is that you're limited on how much of this stuff you can produce. The lower level weapons, you can only make one of them every 5 days, so you're not going to be making tons of these. Because of that, it is good to keep an eye on the auction house for this particular group. Anytime you find someone posting their reborn weapons a little too cheap, you can just buy them up and resell them, and you know that they're not going to be able to come in and just keep making more and making more, because you can only make one every 5 days. So you've got a really low risk in this sort of scenario with flipping. So this particular group is really good. So please don't overlook these reborn recipes. If you don't have them, please do go get them. Otherwise, you're just missing out on some really juicy profits, so go do that. Belt buckles, this is old content stuff. It sells decently well. A lot of people overlook it. I don't have a lot of competition in these markets, which is kind of nice, meaning that I can charge higher prices for it, less competition. Have a look at these particular items and see if they're profitable on your server. I imagine some of them are. Just make sure you're not overlooking this stuff. Weapon chains aren't as exciting as the belt buckles. You might sell a few here and there, but I would focus more on the belt buckles and the weapon chain. So these masterwork items, I do sell some of them. Not too exciting, but usually they are profitable. I just don't move a whole lot of this inventory. This is just kind of more of a casual market. So if you want to do it, you can do it. You don't have to do it. It's totally up to you. Vicious gear also sells decently well. I do only make these when they're profitable. These guys are really cheap to make and have nice profits. You're just not going to move lots of them. You're just going to move some of them, but it's nice casual gold on the side. So you've got We've got 2 groups coming up here next, which are pretty expensive groups to be participating in from your profession. If you are comfortable and you can afford to kind of dig into these markets, they have really, really nice profits, but it could take you, you know, a couple days, a week or so to sell these. So they will tie up some of your liquid gold. So only do it if you can afford it. So the MOP epics, again, like I said, just expensive. Anytime they're profitable, make them sell them. If you can do it, please do it. And you've got the kata weapons, same sort of deal. And then this is from last expansion. I used to do this a lot last expansion. I would make the greens to get the blue procs and then sell the blue procs. Not a really exciting market. Sometimes I'll make the skeleton key and sell that, but again, that one's not a very exciting market. This particular market is definitely exciting. So you need to get the recipes for all of this dark iron stuff. If you don't know where to get the recipes for this dark iron stuff, guess where you can go to find out. These items you can sell for a lot of gold, a lot of profit, really, really juicy. You won't have a whole lot of competition in this stuff for 2 reasons, because people are too lazy to get the recipes and dark iron ore is just too expensive. So that kind of partially relates back to what I said earlier, having your own miner. You can go farm up your own dark iron ore, because a lot of times what's on the auction house is just too bloody expensive, or it's just not on there. So you just go farm up some dark iron ore. You can get tons of it really, really quickly in MC. This is a really, really nice market. Please don't overlook it. Please get the recipes. You're going to be really, really happy with this particular market. Okay, now we only have 1 group left, and that's basically everything else that you can craft with blacksmithing that I haven't already talked about is just in this one big massive group, and I just have my TSM set up to look at it, find everything that's over 100 gold profit and tell me to make one of them basically. So again, really, really helpful to have an add-on like TSM, so you don't have to manually go through your profession and try to find, well, what's profitable, what's not profitable, and figure out, you know, what to do. TSM helps make all of this stuff so much easier. So look at these numbers here for Reborn. These are the Reborn weapons that I talked to you about. Look at these profits. Crafting costs, they don't really cost a whole lot to make. It's just that it's a daily cooldown. You can only make 1 every 5 days. With any profession, but we are talking about blacksmithing, but with any profession, what's really, really important and what's really going to set you aside from everyone else is all of the recipes that aren't trainer trained. Everybody who has a blacksmith pretty much is going to have all of the recipes that are available through the trainer. So usually you're going to have a lot of competition with that stuff. Profit margins are going to be low and it's not going to be too exciting. There'll be a lot of undercutting and yada yada yada. If you can go through the trouble of getting all of the recipes for your profession, now it is going to take time, but it's definitely worth it. If you can go get all of the recipes or some of the recipes that are not trainer trained, you're going to be setting yourself apart from everyone else, and you're going to be able to get involved in markets that other people are not going to be doing, meaning that you're going to be able to charge higher prices, meaning you're going to get higher profits. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and comment.